So hello everybody, welcome to another video here from Rootshell Security. I'm John Bellard, the head of product for the Rootshell platform. I'm gathered here today with my esteemed colleague Nathan. Nathan, do you want to just quick intro?
Yes, good day everybody. My name's Nathan O'Hare. I obviously work for Rootshell Security. I look after the managed services side of our business. So I'm responsible for delivering a range of ongoing services, vulnerability management, attack surface management, which we'll be talking about today. So nice to meet you all.
Good. So we got the right people on the call. That's always good. So we're going to be covering a couple of things in this video. It's just really to let you know what's coming from Rootshell in terms of, on one side, the platform and the products, and then on the other side the sort of delivery, which Nathan's going to cover for us. So from my side, that I needed a brief from the business, from Nathan's team, and obviously from the industry. Attack surface management is pretty popular now across the industry. So we're just going to cover some bits about what it is, why it's important, and then I'm just going to go through some of the visuals that the platform is going to do and help our existing clients and new clients in understanding that data in such a clear way with the relevant context. So I suppose the first place to start here is what is ASM. So what is it, Nath? Why are we being so bothered about it at the moment?
Yes, good question, John. So ASM, or attack surface management, is really a discipline that in the modern internet, with so many organizations having a presence on the internet, they could be hosting applications and various services for their clients or their customers. We wanted, or attack surface management is a means by which that we can understand all the different potential points of attack that our organization might face. For the purpose of today's session, primarily from the internet, sort of from the public domain, building essentially a picture of our attack surface, all of our assets and infrastructure and applications that are in the public domain, and then taking this information, understanding what assets it is that you may not know about, what applications may be spun up as part of shadow IT, and really understanding if there's any risks that are associated with those that we may have been unaware of, an organisation may be unaware of, and bringing those into a kind of a known and managed state. So identifying the assets and then looking at any risks that are associated with them, and then determining how we're going to treat and manage those assets ongoing. And it might be that some assets that are found are unrelated to organisation, but really what our service then does to support that, our ASM service, is that we work with clients to conduct the discovery exercises. So we go out to the internet, we use a combination of commercial and open source tools, and we build a picture and identify risks associated with these assets, and then we present this information to our customers in the Rootshell platform. So our consultants are on hand to execute the tools, to look at any risks that are identified. We also eliminate any false positives, is what we have found through some of the tooling that we use, and just generally the way lots of systems are interconnected on the internet, is that not everything that comes back from an automated fashion, for example, is always genuine. So we need to kind of clean that data first, and then once it's in the platform, we want to kind of bring our findings to the client so they can understand which assets we found, what risks there are, whether they're relevant to their organisation, and ultimately, get them into a state where they're managing the risks, mitigating those risks, and those assets are aware to the organisation, and that they're fundamentally being controlled and looked after. Yeah, so attack surface management then is really just about building that inventory and understanding those risks from an external perspective, and making sure that you're aware of everything that your organisation has presented to the public domain, because if it's in the public domain, really anyone can access it, and then giving you the tools and techniques in the platform, underpinned by our service and consultants, so that organisations know exactly where they're going with external assets that we're finding.
Yeah, so some great benefits there then, isn't there? So, I mean, from my perspective, I'm thinking of it as the first scan that they're going to get is going to give them that reveal, if you like. It's going to say, well, are the things there that we didn't know about? But then equally, then it's still going to give you some ongoing benefits throughout the year to see if anything else pops up, especially for these large enterprises. We've had so many clients before thinking that they know what their external scope is, and then all of a sudden somebody pulls out a rabbit out the hat and there's another 10 that's been found somewhere else. So yeah, there's some real good benefits there, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's the information that's available and that's gathered on the internet about an organisation, about their domains, about their applications, about the services that they may host. These information sources are all over the place, and they can all be queried by a multitude of different people, both good and bad. Yeah. And that helps us, to build that picture of an organisation, so that we can, present that information back. Not all organisations necessarily know just how exposed their information about their organisations is on the internet. Yeah. So it's our job to kind of help them get a feel for what that looks like and get it under control. Sure.
No, that makes sense. Really good. So I suppose the next part of this puzzle then was to, obviously, for my job and the development side of the fence, if you like, is to try and visualize this as clean and useful as possible in the platform. So if I just bring up the platform at the moment. So with this new feature, we're going to be getting a new dashboard that you can see there now, is the attack surface management dashboard. What I do envisage actually is a lot of people are probably going to use this as their default dashboard. So we've actually built that in as an option for clients to use. But for people that have been in the platform before, they're probably going to think it looks fairly familiar. It's certainly this part, because this is from the main dashboard where we're showing the vulnerabilities and the risk related to it. But that's on purpose for myself, because I think having that context of what assets, especially when you start to filter this down to a project level or an asset group level, which you can do here, it really starts to build the picture. If you've got a project there that's covering your external attack surface, or a tag that's covering all that external attack surface from a scanning perspective, you can shine the light on that and actually show you what the assets look like. Has there been any new in the last 30 days or the 6 months trend? And then what's the total active count for that particular segment? I always see with ASM dashboards that they always have total active assets and all this sort of stuff. But when you're bringing it down into those minute sort of silos, if you like, within the business, I think that's when it becomes really powerful. Yeah. Sorry, Nate, did you say something?
I was going to say, what's good about how you presented the dashboard here as well is that it's whilst the attack surface management is primarily about external assets, as you can see from those 4 charts at the top. On the same page, we're also consolidating that information alongside any penetration testing or vulnerability scanning results that the organisation may be loading into the platform as well. So it gives a real good view of both the external and internal attack surface.
Yeah, definitely. I think having this quick toggle to say, show me what that external service is giving me, then we can do that very quickly. Yeah. And like say, jumping into a pen test, or even if you want to just try and measure the risk between the pen test side of the operation versus the scanning side, you've got that option. So I think it's really powerful to do that. So as I say, it is on purpose that we're putting this side by side. So especially with asset groups, because I think asset groups are going to be key with ASM, aren't they? Because we've got some clients that have very large estates, and you've got to divide and conquer really to get over that estate. So having those silos and asset groups really helps with ASM, doesn't it?
Yeah, and the ownership as well. If we're able to work with clients to identify, the technical or business owners of certain assets that we've discovered, that then feeds into any kind of mitigation or remediation processes that the customer will then need to follow to kind of work out who's best placed to fix any risks, to understand the true nature and purpose of the asset. And with asset grouping and tagging assets with ownership information as well, that makes that much more possible. Yeah,
definitely. And then obviously going into the sort of the other areas on this page, it's the usual information probably that you would expect, sort of information about software components and services. We've included that now into the platform, so at asset level you can see what's the makeup of that asset, what software components are up there. We do have an asset explorer coming in the future as well, in a future release that's going to give clients a real nice endpoint to sort of look at to see exactly where are my Apache assets, or where's my particular version of OpenSSL or whatever. And then you'll be able to home into that, and that's going to be really powerful for us in the future. So there's more on that to come, but including that component and service information is going to be key as well, just to help with the triage, I suppose, for an ASM perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the components and being able to capture that information and build that inventory alongside the risks and the assets themselves is going to be really beneficial in the future. I can kind of see that there may come points where we can take certain versions of Apache or certain versions of an Nginx or whatever the situation might be, jQuery versions, all that kind of stuff, and see how we can overlay that to known vulnerability data, so that the platform might even be able to then provide some sort of insights into potential vulnerability of jQuery based on versioning. And I think that would be really good feature.
Definitely so. We lifted the lid a little bit there on a future scope inclusion, but that's fine. On the yes, and then we've got port information, operating system information. Again, even just port information is a basic one that I see as a basic requirement, but it's not something that I've seen widely available in other platforms, in that a lot of clients of ours want to track a particular port should not be open ever. So port 80, for instance, not encrypted, shouldn't be open, and I need a valid way, a very quick way of finding out, do I have any assets that just even have that open? And this dashboard really solves that equation for some of our larger clients. Just being able to click onto that through the graph, it will take you through to this, to the number of assets that are related to that port and have got issues open on that port. So that's really important. The usual risk issues trending here is the same as the main dashboard, so I don't need to go over that. But a new insight here into the bottom here is an exploit breakdown. So this just focuses on whatever that data set that you're looking at through this dashboard. It will give you the very latest exploits that have been reported. So that's through our the daily exploit detection service that we have, and also Velma, which is our active exploits service. So in here they can then look at the active exploits against the tenant, and again against that data set. So this is looking at the whole tenant. Here are the active exploitable issues at the moment, and are they in flight. You can see that they're all assigned and when they've been latest reported. So that really does get to that quick break glass, I suppose. If you've got one of these, then you can get straight through to that. So that's nice. So that's the dashboard covered. And again, I stress with that is that this is going to be, it's been designed to already work with the information that our clients have got in their tenant already. So pen test information, scanning information will light this dashboard up, but it will be better fed with an ASM service, and that's obviously something that Rootshell provide as well, that we can go through. So jumping into the other area then is the sort of project area. This is where the actual scanning is delivered. This is where Nathan's team will sit most of the time, populating this information. So as you can see on this is just a basic example here of a discovery scan that's been performed, and we'll go through a couple of the different sort of asset statuses here, but it's basically just performing like our vulnerability scanning service at the moment, really, isn't it? Because we've got a number of scans. It's probably going to be 12 over the year. There might be some ad hoc ones in there. We've triggered dynamic remediation with this as well, so that's a really good feature for us. So any of the issues that are coming back from these scans, so these are just some example ones here of a HTTP service being found. Somebody will want to plug that gap potentially as soon as possible. Any of these issues that drop off the map or drop off the next discovery scan, dynamic remediation will kick in there and remediate those items for the user automatically. So again, another real efficiency saving there. Jumping into the actual scan itself, you'll notice that each of the assets now have an asset status, if you like, and we've got this notion of in scope, under review, a new asset, false positive, and we do have rogue status as well. Do you just want to take us through that rogue status, Nathan?
Yeah,
I find that really intriguing.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're given seed domains by clients, using like acme.com on the screen here, like example.com, there's more than ever now domains being spun up, rogue domains, that may look and smell and appear similar to the legitimate domain, in this case example.com. So typo squatting is a name that's typically associated with that type of activity, where you might have example.net or example.com or example with a letter replaced, the L replaced for a 1, and it's a spoof domain that's been spun up for the purpose of like sending in mails or standing up perhaps a fake website for any kind of attack. So we can take in feeds, and we can conduct sort of typo squats scans as well, where we can look for variations of the seed domains and understand if there's any MX records or websites or anything associated with them, and present that information into a scan here for our customers to then review. Typically they would be marked as rogue, but in some instances there may be variations of a legitimate domain that are also legitimate, just not associated with the organization. So we can flag those in the platform as well.
Yeah, so that workflow is pretty key for this. So obviously another good efficiency for us in the platform is that because the platform knows about all the other testing that's going on, dependent on what that user can see, it can scan the tenant and say, well, I've seen this asset already covered as part of an external perimeter scan or a pen test or whatever it might have been. So it does some of that job for you already by marking that as in scope. So you're really only working with the delta. And as I said a bit earlier, it's probably going to be worse on that first scan, I would imagine, Nathan, and then things may sort of get better over time because they're getting to grips with what the service looks like.
Yeah, and there'll be new assets as well. If we've discovered like an asset that's hosting a certain application that the customer wasn't aware of, the customer can then elect to enroll that application into a new scanning regime, or they can have a one-off penetration test performed against it. So that new asset status really highlights where we've identified potential new assets that need review by the client, and then providing the client with options then to, well, what do you want to do next with this asset? Are you going to ignore it? Ideally not. Are you going to enroll in a scanning program? Are you going to get a pen test done of it? How do you want to take it through to the next stage? Yeah.
And that sort of brings me on nicely to the sort of next point, where we can see now in the asset area, this example one at the top here, that we can see that it's undergone multiple assessments now, bringing in an assessment filter of attack surface management, pen testing, and vulnerability scanning. So the likely life cycle of that asset will be that it's discovered through ASM, and then potentially folded into a scan, as soon as possible. Once they've assessed the risk or what that asset is, it might then go through to go through for a pen test. But we can very clearly see that now within their asset inventory here, of what assets need more coverage, but also it's down to the point of new notifications in the system as well. With new asset notifications, obviously, if there's some new assets been flagged, you want to be shown about that. But also the untested assets that you just mentioned there, Nate, that's going to be really important. We want to be able to track, or sort of have a catch-all, if you like, that yes, the client's seen that's come through as a new asset. They then mark that as an in-scope asset. Yes, it does belong to us, but for whatever reason, over a period of time that the client can set, maybe 30 days or a week, that if it's not had any other assessments at that point, the platform is going to tell you about it and say, this asset has now gone over its SLA of being untested, if you like. And obviously a rogue asset notification as well, being able to see that rogue assets. So as soon as there's a rogue asset set to that, anyone that can see that project is going to be alerted of that straight away, so people can jump on it and maybe look to do any takedown notices, etc. So all in all, I think certainly as a V1, I think we've met the brief. Hopefully we've met the brief, Nate.
It's great. I think it's very powerful.
I suppose the last bit really for us is how can our clients really engage with us and get that ASM service up and running. I've got the page on our website here, and I'll put a QR code up here in the end of this video. But I mean, it's as easy as just getting in touch with us, isn't it, Nathan? We only need a little bit of information.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got you can book demos with the platform. It could be specific around the ASM or some of the other features that the platform provides. If you're an existing customer of Rootshell, that's great. You can reach out to your account manager who can arrange this for you as well. But yes, please do get in touch and we can take you through some of the features in a bit more detail.
Great stuff. Well, that just leaves us to
Thank you
say
very
thanks very much for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks very much, Dave.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. Cheers,
All the
John.
best.
Thanks, mate.